guess I have to be ugly somewhere.
There's that confidence. There's that confidence.
I had to do it.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Beckoning Brilliance. I'm your host, Becca Booka, and today my guest is Sarah Knowlton. She's one half of the sister duo We the Birds. We the Birds is a lifestyle brand focused around content creating and visual storytelling. Sarah and her sister Natalie grew up moving all around the world, hence the Birds, and they've planted their roots in Dallas, where they have founded We the Birds and have since made an impact influencing people with their visual aesthetics, unique personal style, and their entertaining sisterly dynamic. Today, Sarah and I have a transparent, oftentimes chaotic conversation about influencing social media, fashion, and all around struggles with being a millennial at this point in time in our lives. So let's get into it. Sarah.
Becca.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy that you made the time to talk to me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
For those of you guys who don't know, Sarah is one half of We the Birds, and you guys are a creative collective umbrella. You do graphic design. You guys had a macaron shop
Yes.
that I
Yes.
just missed out on, sadly, before I
Correct.
moved here. So
Recently closed. Yes. Yeah, we're a sister duo partnership, and really we are like we basically are a creative blog. I mean, I guess you would call us like influencers. We're in the influencer space, and basically started our brand We the Birds as a creative outlet. And then we did end up starting a French macaron bakery because that kind of just happened organically because my sister loved to make French macarons, and we really poured ourselves into that for many years, and we recently shut that down, and now we just kind of find ourselves kind of putting ourselves back into just being influencers really, and creating again. So yeah.
it's interesting because I actually met you before I knew about who you guys were and about your brand. So it was weird for me to meet you, get a sense of you, and then actually like go on your Instagram and like see everything. Which I will say, you do a
Sure.
really, really good job at representing yourself online, which I feel like
Oh,
that's my biggest struggle when I'm like posting anything on Instagram. It's like I have no idea how I'm coming across, but you have a real knack for it. Like
thank
like
you.
curating everything and like yeah, like it's such a good representation of you guys and your personality.
Thank you. My background is, I am a creative, a visual graphic designer, and I was an art major in college, so that really is my strength. And when Natalie and I paired up, I was like a complete psychopath about our brand.
Yeah.
And she'll tell you the same thing. Like when we really came out of the gate, and I wanted our aesthetic to be very curated, and I wanted when people see an image that is We the Birds, they would say that's We the Birds. Like so
Yeah.
when you see something that's by us, you would know that it's ours. And in the beginning, that was sometimes like a point of contention between Natalie and I. And she's much more, in any partnership, we have our differences, right? But
Mhm.
she kind of wanted to get things out there faster and whatever. And I was like, no, I think like it needs to be curated and thought through. And also like just the editing process and all of that, like it was just my process was slower, and in the end, I think that paid off, and so we do really have a really strong and clear brand and presence. And like to your point, and people say that all the time to us, so I do believe that has paid off in that sense. Like if anything, we have a strong brand.
Oh, 100%.
you know People may
Definitely.
not always know what we do, but
Yeah,
they know what we look like, right?
for sure. I was gonna say, you must get recognized when you're out in public.
um yeah, I change my look a lot, so
Yeah, you do. You do.
there is some incognito-ness there. But Natalie and I always laugh because I'm a little bit more out there, and in terms of the way that we look, and
Mhm.
Natalie always laughs because we'll be out at events or whatever, and people will be like, "Oh, talking to her, okay?" and they'll be like, I think that's We the Birds over there. And she's like, I am also We the Birds, but yes, that's Sarah, you know?
Yeah. I am a bird myself.
I am also a bird.
Yeah.
So funny.
That's funny. I was gonna say, do you always feel like pressure to like look on point then when you go out in public?
I mean, not particularly. I
Well, you
I
always look good though. You always look good.
I don't know. I really feel like a scrub these days. I don't know. When you have I also had a baby 2 years
Mhm.
ago. So, well, I guess it's been a little under 2 years, but you know, mom life changes things. But also
Yeah,
like post COVID, I feel like we don't really do as much as we used to
it's so
do,
true. It's so
you know?
true.
So, I like put makeup on today and like part of that's because of you. I'm like
Uh,
Becca like knows her shit when it comes to makeup and I'm like I got to look good.
well, that's how I feel every time we talk about my Instagram page or every time you like something. I'm like, "Oh god." She's probably like, why that font? Why is it spaced
No.
like that?"
I really don't. And you
You
you don't
should.
give yourself you don't give yourself enough credit. Like you know more than you think.
I don't think I do, especially when it comes to myself. I can look at someone else's page and judge it and be like, you should tweak that." But when it comes to me, I'm like, "Oh my god, I posted something. That's as good as it gets for today." You
Yeah,
know?
but you know, I think that maybe that is enough. Things have changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like you know, and obviously people aren't privy to the conversations you and I have had in the past,
Yeah.
so we should talk about that
Yes.
again. But we when Natalie and I started, we launched our Instagram in 2015, and it was like a really different landscape. And like I think that that was kind of like the second rise of like kind of the influencer wave. There was like a 2010, which was like OG blogger
Mhm.
sphere, and we were
Yeah.
not in that world, but um in 2015 and in 2015 that was kind of where we were, and then we were in Dallas, which I think we kind of got lucky in that we kind of got in on a kind of influencer rise in the Dallas community specifically during that
Mhm.
time. And but in terms of what was happening in social media, it was a much more curated aesthetic, what people were going for. And like when you would go to you would look at people's Instagram feeds and be like, oh, you know, you want it to look beautiful and aesthetically pleasing and everything needed to be just so.
Yeah.
Now this is not what people are doing on social media. And honestly, I
Mhm.
feel a little we're such millennials. I now I'm like we're like fucking boomers out here. Like I
We are,
truly
we are.
now with like the rise of Gen Z and they're doing it, they're using social media differently. So, and we have to like be honest about that. And I feel that
Right.
I really do. So like I want to caveat, like I feel like I'm supposed to be like some expert, and I'm just not anymore. You know?
But what you do so strongly. I was gonna say, I mean, I haven't seen you do any, like, TikTok dances or anything like that yet.
No,
I
I
don't even
don't
that
fucking
wasn't
do
even a
that
TikTok dance. I
shit.
don't know what that was.
I mean, I saw it. It looked good.
I'm not trying to do that either. I mean, I hate even, like, fucking lip syncing. I think I posted something today, and I was like, "I can't believe I never realized lip syncing was gonna be such a big part of my job as I got into this," you
It's so
know? Like, it's
cute.
but you just have to do it. It's
Yeah,
true.
but
It's annoying, but
if it comes naturally to you and that's fun to you, do that, you know. And I think like this is
yeah.
where I have always said like just do what makes sense to you. And authenticity
Mhm.
is like a word that gets thrown around quite a bit, but
Yes.
it's so simple when you really think about it. Like just do you. And that's something that like Natalie and I like have just like really tried to stay true to. And because also if you're like you know if you're trying to build a following and build an audience and like create trust with a bunch of people you don't actually know, right?
Mhm.
um being authentic and true and real is the way to do that. So like if you're just going to do something because you think that's what people want to see, like that's
Yeah.
not real. You're not creating trust. Like you're just doing that because, you know. And
That's
maybe
true.
you might go viral. I don't know. Like I really don't know. Like that to me that's like a different way of using social media.
Yeah. So even like thinking about your posts, I mean, it's like from what I've seen, like obviously you make reels, but it's like in your reels you're showing something off, or you're telling a story,
Yes.
or you're posting pictures, and it's like you're writing stuff about it. So again, it's like you're telling that story. There's a narrative there, and you're building that trust. I think for me, just not to make it about myself, but I'm in the beauty industry, so it's like I don't want to make it super wordy. Sometimes I just want to show pictures of my work, and
Hmm.
I think I probably overthink it too much. It's like I don't know what people want from me, and I hate sometimes that what I've noticed over the course of my career is that every time I post a picture of myself, it does way better as
Way
far as like
better.
likes and engagements versus like, work of my clients. So it's like,
Hmm.
oh, now I got to take selfies and like show my makeup. But one of my friends pointed this out to me. She's like, you are your brand. Like you are the face of
You
the
are.
brand. People, yeah, it's like people want to see you. They want to know what you like. And like that part of it's been really hard for me because I think we've talked about this, but I'm always
Hmm.
kind of like nervous about how I come across to people, and so that's something that you guys are really, really good at.
But I think that's like also like the beauty of social media and this medium, right? Like traditional advertising, like back in the day, right? Like you
Mhm.
would put out like an ad and it wouldn't show the people behind the brand, right? Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that is why social media became a thing. It's social, so you can actually meet like the owner behind the brand and
Yeah.
and know like oh, Becca's really cool. She has like really great sense of style. Oh, like that's also part of the draw and that is your brand, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes
Mhm.
perfect sense. And it doesn't surprise me that those things would perform higher.
Yeah, it just sometimes it kills me though, because sometimes I have like all so many before and afters of my clients. Like I could do that
Yeah,
all
because you're
day,
like,
but when
I
it
just
comes
want to
to
put that out there. Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, sometimes it's fun. Like even like the reel I posted today, I was like, okay, it took me 2 seconds. I thought it was really fun, but again, like I don't feel like it's necessarily showing my personality. So obviously, there's a big internal battle that I have with myself, but I feel like a lot of people feel like this. So,
It's a conundrum when you're, I think, running a business and utilizing social media and running that line of like how much do you want to share about
mhm,
yourself, you know?
yeah,
And I think Natalie and I definitely had to toe that line, especially having one side of our business being, for the last 7 years, one side of our business actually being ourselves, and then the other side being a proper business, a French macaron
right,
bakery. So,
mhm,
and I think we we always say like we're the worst influencers in the world. Like we're not the we're not the ones who are like opening our lives up
mhm,
and doing stories all day long, and like people really like I can't do that. Like I'm not capable of like filming everything in my day and like big brothering my life, you know what I mean? Like, and I like think
yeah,
it's amazing. I know some influencers even like locally who do that, and I'm like, fuck, that's
mhm,
fucking amazing. Like I have actually have a lot of admiration that you can open your life up that way.
yeah,
I just don't have the energy for it. I just whatever. um so I think there's something to be, it's like it's a decision on how much you are willing to share and how much how important you think that is also to like to your business. I don't know.
yeah,
And I don't know that I have like the answer. It's definitely I think everyone probably runs into that now because
mhm.
our businesses are all becoming so intertwined with our like personal lives.
Yeah. Totally. Well, I will say you have done an amazing job at building trust because, as we've talked about, every time that you have posted something about me, it's like people will book an appointment with me immediately. And because I'm new here, all my clients are new when they come in for the first time. So I always ask them, how did you hear about the salon? How did you hear about me? And they're like, Sarah posted about you. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, how do you know her? And they're like, oh, I've never met her. I just follow her. And I'm like,
It
that
makes
is
me so happy.
wild to have that trust. I know, but just for you to post something and it's like they take that as fact, like, oh, she's posting about it, it must be good. I was like, that's honestly really incredible that people trust you, especially people that haven't met you, that they trust you so wholeheartedly.
I really like don't take that for granted. I think that is it. Just I feel super honored to have also like
Hmm.
earned that kind of trust, and I really do
Totally.
think that it takes time. And
Hmm.
like I said, like now, like Nelly and I have been in that space for like 7, 8 years now, so it definitely we also built the bulk of our following in the first couple of years. So like 2015 to 2017, we kind of like we have about like 40,000 followers on Instagram. And I would say like the first 20,000 was in those first 2 years. So like most of
Oh
these
wow.
people have been following us for a long time. But I say that to say that like, yeah, it's like it's been built over time. And so
Yeah.
I, I think, back to kind of what I was saying about we've been super curated and like we're not the girls who have been like, oh, we're just going to take every brand deal that comes our way. And not so much that like we were like, oh, we just like want to be picky or whatever. It's just like I also like am
Mhm.
not a salesperson. I just like can't be saying, oh, I love this thing if I don't love this thing, right? So like some
Yeah.
of it is just like an ethical concern or morality concern, whatever. But
Mhm.
anyway, and so I think that it makes me happy that people have felt that through the years and felt and believe when we say like, oh, I really really love this, that like we
Yeah.
mean it, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna fucking try it too, so
Yeah.
and then it makes me feel confident when I go to partners and say, hey, we do really have a dedicated following, and
Mhm.
we do want to partner with you, and we actually can leverage this following. So it's just like it makes us feel more confident. It's just it's a beautiful thing. So it's a win-win-win across the board, and it's worth us. Like I always go back to the beginning when Natalie and I would be like fighting about the way in which we were going to do things, and
Mhm.
I can remember we would feel like we were being surpassed by other girls and other people in the space who were growing either faster, and then there was the like to know it. Are you familiar with the like to
Yeah.
know it
Mhm.
world, like with the commission structure, and people were just like pumping out content all day long with affiliate links and stuff, and like we just
Mhm.
weren't doing that, and we were just never very good about pumping out content in that way. And we're running a business, right? And Natalie would be like, we're just not making enough money, and I just was like, I don't know that is like long term going to be the win. And
Yeah.
so I think long term we have built something that has stood the test of time. So anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I hate to even compare you to the Kardashians, but they're the people that pop in my head when you talk about everyone that just says yes to every single deal that comes their way, and
Right.
it really dilutes people's trust and perception, and because they fucking
Mm,
promote everything,
that's
like
right.
every.
Yeah.
I feel like every week I see them like hawking some new shit, and I'm like, girl,
You're
who's
like,
gonna buy this?
how much are they paying you?
Exactly, literally.
Yeah.
So there's just yeah, there's no integrity behind it in my opinion. And you guys don't really post that much ever since I started
Yeah.
following you, but it's like every time you do post, I'm like, "Oh, what is it?"
Oh,
It's like I almost
I
get
know.
excited. I know.
I know.
So, but you really do. You go against the grain of like what has been hammered in everyone's heads as far as becoming an influencer now. So it's like I'm trying to build my brand, especially, since moving to Dallas. It's like I'm trying to focus more on my social media, obviously. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, like what time should I post? What hashtag should I use? Like what reel? It's like there's so many different like nitpicky rules as far as the algorithm. And I
Oh,
love
for
that
sure.
you just say fuck it to all of it. And it's like I'm gonna post when I post. And every time you post, it hits because people are like hanging on your every
Girl,
word.
I know, but listen, like some of that I feel almost like this sense of like it's almost like a jadedness, like it's because we've been around the block for so long. Like I was we were in that, trust me, for
Yeah.
6 years, where we were like, I mean, I had all the schedulers, I tracked all the data, I was
Mm.
in it. We were like, we had to fucking post every day. It was like
Yep.
Natalie would be like, what time do I post? Like, I'm so stressed. You know what I mean? So anyway,
Yeah.
we did all of that. And then
Okay.
also some life shifts have happened. I've
Mhm.
had a kid. We've like shut down our business. We've kind of like made some shifts in our life that our lives are different, so we're not
Yeah.
really in the grind as we once were. So
Sure.
we've had some priority shifts and some mental health things, where having been grinding for so many years, I actually took a major break before I ended up getting pregnant, where I had to basically like step away from the social media for a little while. So it's been a there's been a journey to this place of kind of, I'm going to post when I want to post, and
Yeah.
you know and it's also not my this is not my job anymore. This is more of a hobby.
Yeah. Um, I don't mean to like pick your brain, but I'm curious about the mental health stuff. Was it because you were
Yeah.
posting so much and it just got to be too much pressure?
I think I have definitely suffered from depression all of my adult life. So it took me years to define that for what it is. I also have a history of substance abuse, and I am in recovery and have been clean and sober for 10 years. So go
God,
me.
good for you.
But I know. But, it's not all like a, clear cut path to in
Yeah.
that recovery and whatnot. So, and my depression has definitely been like hand in hand in, finding what I am now. I'm like living a life that is worth living. And I could not even say that 3 years ago. So I had a really low point prior to getting pregnant, and actually getting pregnant had like nothing to do with, like, it was unplanned, it was a surprise. But right before that I had a really really low point. And I really think I was really burnt out work wise. Natalie and I were really grinding for many many years in our business, and barely making ends meet. We were like financially very, very strapped. We had taken out a loan to build out a commercial kitchen for our macaron bakery. It was tough times. Our relationship was really strained. As you can imagine, being sisters, we have like a whole lifetime of family resentments, being sisters and then being business partners. And then,
Yeah.
it was tough. And then the social media aspect, of course, like, trying to make a living on social media on top of everything else. I really got to a place where I didn't want to participate in what I called the rat race. Like,
Yeah.
I was done. I was so done. I I yeah, I hit that place of I wanted to pull the plug altogether on We the Birds. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Um,
It's really it's interesting because as I was doing research, all of the podcasts that I listened to, they're all from like 2019, 2020, and
yep,
where you guys are in the thick of owning your business and running the
correct.
shop. And when I first met you, like I said, you guys had just closed. So it was
Yes,
interesting for me knowing that you guys closed, knowing all the struggles that you had to go back and listen to the podcast because it's like that you can tell there's like this little tinge of like tension and like stress throughout all the interviews, even though you're like, we love it, but like you were very honest about all of like the hardships
the
that came with
struggles.
running. Yeah. So you guys were really honest about that. So again, I think going back to the social media thing, it's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people can look at your page and be like, oh my gosh, like they're so cool. They like they're so put together. All their outfits are great. Like they run this amazing business when it's like, you always see people's high points. You're not seeing all the shit that happens behind the scenes. So I appreciate your transparency about this.
Definitely not. And I definitely think we weren't in, even though we were, when we had opportunities, we definitely, like you were saying, in other podcasts that we were on, we would talk about the struggles, but I don't even think that we were transparent enough about how difficult it was.
Hmm.
And like, and I, when we made the decision to close last year, like, it was a culmination of a lot of things, but I it was time. Like, I had already taken a step back. Like I was saying, I had hit a point in, I'm trying to think, because like to your point of all of the other podcast interviews that we had done ended in, I think 2020 was probably the last one.
Yes.
And my low point was, I think, the very beginning of 2020. And then I was like, I'm done.
So like right around COVID too.
Yeah, and interestingly, like, I don't remember COVID being a really big factor in it for me.
Mm.
Um, but Natalie was not done. And so we had a lot
Mm.
of conversations where it was like I was like, I have to step back. And then I found out I was pregnant. And then that really made it super clear that it was like, it's time for me to step back. And then she wanted to continue with the macaron business. And so, we had to sort that out between us. And so she carried on, and I supported her in whichever ways I could. But yeah, and I think we never, like, we always struggled a little bit with like, how much do you share about what's going on, and like
Yeah.
how much do you, because to your point, yes, like of course we're still like posting beautiful pictures and like, and given the opportunity, and when we're very open books, and so
Mhm.
given the opportunity when we're talking to people, we would always share, of course, like what's happening,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
um I think, yeah, social media is kind of a bullshit place.
It is kind of a bullshit place. Also, if you're like too transparent online, sometimes it can kind of slip into like victim mode, like, oh, we're trying to get sympathy from you, which I know that is not your
Yeah.
vibe. So that would be really
Yeah,
hard.
like yeah, and, like, also then I think if that becomes, like, your shtick, like, that can be really negative too,
100%.
you
Like
know? Like,
it'll,
and I'm not
yeah,
trying to do that either.
no, that's why I'm like, that's not your vibe. So I can't imagine
Yes.
you. Kind of going back to you talked about being sober. I'm also, this sounds stupid. I was actually going to ask you about this because you're so confident. And don't think this as like a backhanded compliment, but you are about as confident as you can get before slipping into like cocky territory, which I totally admire because I struggle with being insecure and like this stuff that comes out of your mouth. I was like, I fucking love you. Like you know
Like,
what you
why is she
want. Like you
saying
have
that?
you no, but like no. I'm like, fuck, I wish I could like say that with chest and like just move the way that you move throughout the world. Like it's amazing. So it's I know that you struggled with substance abuse. So I'm like, okay, there has to be something going on there where there's like some sort of depression, but you also seem so confident. So
Yeah.
I guess I don't even know what to ask you about that. It's just like surprising for me to hear that just obviously everyone deals with mental health shit, but it's just it's surprising to me because you always carry yourself as being so confident.
No, that's an interesting like perspective to like connect the two, because
Mhm.
I don't even know like how I would marry the two, but yes, both exist. And
Yeah.
that is the dichotomy and the complexities of us being human, right? Like I think
Mhm.
sometimes it's that age old thing of what you see is not always what you see on the surface is not always what is happening. Like we're all so
Yeah.
much deeper than what you see on the surface. So that's like, don't judge a book by its cover, right? That's like the age old lesson, right?
Yes.
Um, but yeah, my confidence, Natalie, my sisters, we're so different. Like, and this is the first podcast I've done like solo, so
I
I always like
know.
bring her into it because she's like the yin to my yang, and so she's
She
like
really
super
is.
self-deprecating and
Yeah.
very and she's got her own, like she's definitely got her own confidence, but she definitely like balances me, and that she'll be like,
Mhm.
why are you acting so crazy and whatever. So but when I don't have her, I'm just like, let it fly. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to like temper myself right now is what's actually happening. I've always had this internal confidence. I am not entirely sure where this has come from. I think when you can talk about nature and nurture, I think there's a little bit of, I might have just always had some semblance of nature. It's just this the way I am.
Yeah.
Um, Going to nurture, my mother and I have a complicated relationship. I love her dearly, so let's just start with that. Um, but I'm the first daughter of three, and my mother is a very type A personality who I
Mhm.
think had a vision of what she thought her daughter would be. And
Mhm.
I am not quite that. Like, I'm a little bit
Yeah.
rough around the edges. I curse a lot. I say what I want to say. I was wild as a teenager,
Mhm.
I'm an addict. Like it's just, and
Yeah.
my mom's like super Catholic. And so I just think we've had it's I've had to like find that confidence in myself, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. And I
Yeah.
think this could have gone like one or two ways. Like I could have either like gone into a like hole and like been stifled, or
Mhm.
just like found it myself. And I think I just somehow found it myself.
It's interesting as you were listing off all those traits that you kind of felt like disapproved of by your mom. Like those are the traits that I
Mm.
love about you the most.
Thanks.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think those are the traits that like most of the world loves about me most, and it's kind of a shame that
Yeah,
she can't love me for that,
it is.
you know?
Damn. Yeah.
But like her loss, right?
Do you guys still talk?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I'll
Oh,
see her in like 2 days.
okay.
And she's probably
I
gonna
was
listen to
like,
this podcast.
how is she gonna feel? Has she talked to you about that? Like hearing other episodes where you bring her up?
Oh, she will for sure be like, you know, the cursing, "Why do you have to talk like this? It's just so
Yeah.
embarrassing." I think she feels like a lot of shame, and she feels a lot of fear about what other people think about her,
Yeah.
and I don't. And maybe there's something in her that is like jealous of that. I don't even know. Like I've never even said that out loud. So like I don't know.
Yeah.
This is totally not sussed out. So like sorry mom, like I don't even know where that came from, but maybe.
Well, no, as you were talking, I was going to say she's probably really like, even subconsciously like envious of you, the fact that you can like live your life so
Maybe.
boldly and you're successful off of it. So like all the traits that she was like, everything that you said, like you swear too much, like you're too
Right.
wild, like you're an addict, all
Right.
this stuff. It's like that's what people have latched onto you and love you for, and you become successful off of it. So it's got to be kind of like a mind fuck for her to be like, okay, wait, I don't approve of that, but everyone else does, and that's how
Right.
you're
And like it's like
successful.
maybe that's like what she was taught like isn't okay, but it like actually like none of those things like are made me bad, you know? Like
Correct. Yeah.
Like they're not it's like
Yeah.
not black and white. And if there's one thing I've had to like dismantle, it's like in therapy is black and white thinking. So like
Yes.
and being raised a Catholic, I think like that is and I think we all maybe have like tendencies towards black and white thinking because like black and
Mhm.
white thinking is actually like it's a nice way to like sort out the world, right? Like it like makes things
Sure.
really easy. It's like, okay, this is simple. But here's the thing about humans. We're not black and white. We're fucking gray as
Correct.
shit. You know what I mean? So like
Shades of gray for
when
sure.
you right, like if we start like sorting out humans as black and white, we're missing so much, you know, and it's super unfair to the other person.
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, not it's not helpful.
No. Um, kind of off topic, but something that also surprised me about you on a lighter note,
Yes.
as I was going through your Instagram, one of your shades of gray, I'm very surprised that you're a hunter.
I know. I know, right? So dynamic. So aren't we all
There's
so
like
dynamic?
yeah, there's all these pictures of you with like guns, but you're still looking like super glamorous. How did you get into hunting, girl?
Girl, so I married a man from Lafayette, Louisiana. He's like outdoorsman, hunter, fisherman, and I grew up like all over the world. I had like no exposure to guns growing up. In fact, like I can remember the first time Thomas, my husband, like brought
Mhm.
me to shoot a gun and I remember being like, you know, we no guns, like it's just
Yeah,
not, you know, whatever. Like
yeah,
you have your own preconceived notions and maybe
sure.
even like some brainwashing, I don't know. Um and like I was like so uncomfortable and anyway fast forward to you know learning about hunting and you know kind of the process and even like the conservation of it and I just really enjoy it. It gets you outside. It's and then you get good at it and you're like fuck yes I can hit that thing. So anyway yeah I really enjoy it.
Oh my god, I've actually never gone hunting, so I've never experienced any of this stuff. So I'm just like,
Are you interested?
I've never even shot a gun, which is like so surprising that they even like let me move to Texas without doing so.
Okay
I thought
well
that would be like on my lease. I thought they'd be like,
on your
"Do you own a?" Yeah, they'd
do
be like,
you
"Do you own a YSL bag? Do you own a gun?"
I do not own a YSL bag.
You don't?
No,
Really? That
I don't
surprises me.
know. I don't yeah, no. It's so basic.
Damn, I do have a YSL bag, but it's
Well,
fine.
I'm sure there's versions of a YSL bag that are not the one I'm thinking of.
No, I have the one you're thinking of, but I also have another one. I also have another one that no one can even tell it's YSL. It's just like a classic black bag. It's my everyday.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful. That's the
it's
way
okay.
to do it.
You know, I got to be basic in one way. I can have my one purse of mine be basic.
Yeah, I think
It's
like
fine.
we've all had like our basic moments
What is the most basic thing that you do
that I do.
or that you have done or that you own? What is Okay, I just want to know one thing that's basic about you.
I'm sure there's so many things.
I was going to say you're thinking real hard about this, so.
I think okay. Oh. I have the Lululemon
Mhm.
belt bag.
I was going to say, do you have the fucking fanny pack thing that everyone
I
has?
I love it. I fucking love
Do
it,
you?
Becca. I mean, I do have the one that's like it's like Sherpa.
Okay.
So it's like,
Oh, and you just bought Crocs too.
oh, I did buy Crocs. However,
They're a
you failed
platform.
to mention they are platform.
They're a platform. I'll give you
I
that.
feel like
But
it needs like an asterisk.
yeah, note. That's funny. I've actually never worn Crocs in my life.
Well, girl, neither have I. But
Well,
then I
you
saw
bought a pair,
platform.
so you must love them.
I bought two,
You bought 2? Oh my god. Am I
black
missing
and
out?
beige. I don't know, but I wear them like with the full like back strap and everything.
You go sport mode?
I do. I do.
Damn. Oh
I
my
didn't know
god.
that was like so nerdy, but like I do that. It
But
seems
you
like
can
the
make it
only
cool.
way.
I you know what? I've roasted my friends so hard for so many years about wearing Crocs that I think I would be too ashamed to even wear them because they'd be like, everyone would come out of the woodwork and be like, "Oh, I see you." I would have to crop all my pictures so no one could see my feet. I'd have to hide it. It'd be my deep dark secret.
Deepest of secrets.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, I don't know. I probably will never wear them in real life. Like I
Mhm.
only bought them for house shoes. I have like a real pet peeve about wearing open toe shoes out of like my house. Like anything that I can't wear socks.
Okay.
Like I need
Why
my
is that?
feet covered
Is it just
in
like
the
a
world.
a cleanliness thing?
Correct. Like it's like
Yeah.
a grossness thing.
No, I feel that. I went to the St. Patty's Day thing in Dallas a couple
Oh
weekends
yes.
ago, and I went a little bit later in the day, and it was my first time going. Everyone was like, "Hmm, good luck. You'll never wanna go again.
Yeah.
It's a shit show." So my Uber driver was dropping me off, and there was already a girl walking outside barefoot. It was like 3 PM, and I was like, "Oh, no. No,
Oh
no, no.
no. And but
No,
like
burn it all
was
down."
it I don't remember, was it like a nice day? I can't even
Yeah.
remember. Okay.
Yeah, it
Well,
was really nice out. But s
I mean I mean
dude,
Dallas isn't like New Orleans. Like I
I
wouldn't go
mean,
barefoot in New
on St.
Orleans.
Patty's Day, it was
Yeah, I
it
get
was a little it was a little New Orleans-ish, in my opinion.
yeah. No, you're probably right. I don't know. Like I my thing is like more of like the sweat and like this and like in the shoe.
Okay.
It like grosses me out.
Yeah. Especially if I, like, don't have my toes, like, freshly done, I'm like, "No one needs to see that." You know?
Girl, I haven't gotten my toe I never get my toes done. I
You
get my
don't?
nails done every 2 weeks, but I never get my toes done because I wear socks and shoes.
Do you have ugly feet? Is that why?
I mean,
I'm
they
just
are like
kidding.
flat as a board.
Are they?
Like I have no arch.
Interesting.
Yeah. I guess I have to be ugly somewhere.
There's that confidence, there's that confidence.
I had to do it.
I love you for it. Okay, so no OnlyFans for you, cross that off the list.
I
No foot
know. I
pics,
mean, it
no
would
feet pics.
I mean, maybe someone's like into the flat feet.
There's something for everything,
Like
right?
surely. I mean, if
Surely.
like Larsa if do you watch Real Housewives of Miami?
I don't.
No. Ugh. Larsa Pippen is like making it big on the OnlyFans, and like,
Oh, I know she's dating, isn't she dating Michael Jordan's son?
yes, correct. It's very
That's
strange.
very strange.
She also said that she had sex with Scottie Pippen four
4
times
times a
a
night.
night for 23 years. It's like,
I
okay,
don't
girl, so
believe
you were
that.
a sex slave? Like, why are you lying? Like, what is the point of that? And also, no one asked
Like, did you
you.
Yeah. No, and it's like, did you go with him to every single game when he was on the road?
No, that's what Andy Cohen asked her. And she was like, yes.
Oh. Okay.
She
I
doubled
don't believe I don't
down.
believe that.
She's
I don't
such a
believe that.
liar. Anyway, I can't.
Oh my god. Oh,
We digress.
slightly. Like, how do we even segue back into, like,
I
branding?
don't know. What did we what do your notes say?
My notes are basically like, "My Instagram is a hot mess.
No, it's
Help."
not.
No. Um, what do you think the most important part of branding is? Other we've talked about being authentic, so don't do a what is it, Larsa, you said? What's her name? Larissa?
Larsa?
Larsa? Is
Larsa?
that her name for
Yeah.
real? Okay,
Yeah, that
maybe I'm
is her
dyslexic
name.
because I would always read it as Larissa. Anyway,
No,
don't be
it's
like her, don't lie
don't
in public.
lie.
That's not gonna be good for building trust and building your
It's
brand. So
no,
back to
thank
branding.
good wow. Look at you with the segue. That was so beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, what's the most important part of branding in your opinion?
I feel like I'm gonna age myself so much here, but
This is a safe space. This is a millennial safe space here.
the millennials
This is the boomer trust tree, Sarah.
correct. Um, this is what I would okay, this is the answer I would give is
Mhm,
because okay, given this is like my skill set and visual branding, it's my best advice is to find the visual aesthetic that you want and define that and then fucking stick with it. So like commit to
mhm,
it and stick with it and don't fucking change your filter every fucking time you post and change your mind next week. Like when you scroll back on We the Birds back to the beginning, it's always the same. Now, I did kind of evolve. We have evolved a bit.
mhm.
And but it's always like kind of got this white kind of desaturated, like there are certain um keywords that I always had in my mind when I was using to describe what our brand looked like. So
What were your words?
desaturate, well, like visually
Yeah,
desaturated,
okay.
kind of whitewashed, not in like a racist way. I hope that
I
was clear.
I
I hope
I knew
that's clear.
I knew what you meant.
Fucking um, and grunge, a touch of grunge, a little bit faded. Like these are like how I would edit the photos, and
Mhm.
then yeah, yeah. That's my biggest advice.
I've always struggled with that because, like, I do makeup and stuff like that, so it's like I don't wanna filter someone so it doesn't look
Yeah,
like how it does in real life, so I always try to go for natural lighting, but then there is inconsistencies, so, that's why over time I've just been like, "Fuck it." I'm gonna let the whole, like, theme thing go.
I think that the no filter is an aesthetic. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm serious. Like
yeah.
that's a choice, and like you go with that. Don't laugh. It's fucking true.
No, I know. This is like a big debate in like the beauty world because a lot of like makeup artists, there's one in particular I'm thinking of. Her work is amazing, but like it almost looks AI. She filters her video
Oh,
so much. And
okay.
like even as a consumer, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's beautiful." And I'll sit and I'll watch every single thing, but from like a professional standpoint, I'm like, "You shouldn't filter that much because it creates unrealistic expectations." Like
Mhm,
clients will then
mhm.
come in and be like, "I want this." And I'm like, "Dude, no one looks like this. Like you're
Yeah,
never
that
going to look
doesn't
like
make
this."
sense. That's an odd
So,
choice.
yeah, but I mean, obviously she has a ton of followers and the people that don't have that refined eye will just say, "Oh, it's beautiful." They love it, and so they latch onto it. Where like it's kind of like I don't know. I don't even know if it's like a generational thing, but there's a lot of like older makeup artists that are like that's not authentic. Like you can't be filtering your stuff. Where other people, like younger people, they're just like, I get views, I get likes. What do you
Mm,
have? And it's like it's
right.
this weird like battle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a strange world. It's like the Wild West out there. But I feel for yeah, in the beauty space, I think that's always beauty, like hair, anything that
Mhm.
you are like basically selling where you need the color to be the same or
Correct.
You just don't want it to your skin tone, like
Mhm.
aesthetics, like medical aesthetics, like things like that. We have clients like that where it's like you don't want to. So sometimes what I'll do is they have a filtered cover photo, and then you swipe for like the real photo.
Gotcha.
You know,
A little clickbait. Mhm.
kinda, but like just so that my fucking
Yeah.
feed is still the same. So I think there's like ways around that stuff, but I would think that it's odd to as a professional makeup or someone in aesthetics like that to
Mhm.
edit your content to the point where it looks like AI. That seems unethical.
I agree. I'll send you her stuff. I find it.
Okay,
It's,
very
like I said, it's
interesting.
fun to look at, but I don't
But like, is it fun to look
know.
at?
Yeah.
Okay, so like it is like
You
pleasing.
Oh, it's super pleasing to the eye. And I mean, you can tell her skill set is there. You can tell that she's genuinely talented. So sometimes you're kind of
Okay,
like, why are you filtering this so much? So yeah, I mean, if
yeah.
she was like doing shitty work and it was like that, but I mean, who
Okay,
knows? It is so filtered. Maybe she is trash. We can't tell.
right.
I don't
You
know.
will not know, never
Yeah.
know.
Do you ever have to deal with any haters?
I'm like I actually don't know that we have ever had. I'm trying to like dig in the memory. I think there was like one incident, but like I don't even know if I have. Um, I don't think I can pull it out of my drug riddled brain. You know, it's good now, but like sometimes my
Yeah,
recall is not good. Sometimes my recall is
for
not
sure.
good. Um, we really have been so lucky in that sense. Like we really haven't. And honestly, maybe because like we don't post a whole lot. Like I feel like that's part of the nice thing of not sharing too much about your life
Hmm.
is that it protects you from, you know, haters.
I got my first like hater comment in regards to
Uh-uh.
like the podcast. I posted my guest was at the top and I was at the bottom, like side by side kind of thing. Anyway,
Yes.
so someone commented and they're like, the lady at the bottom looks kind of sus. And I was like, why?
What does that
I was
even
just like
mean? Like
smile.
how do you look
I
sus?
I don't know. And I looked back at it and I was like, I'm just smiling and nodding, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. I was like, oh my God, I have my first hater. Does that mean I'm famous? Have I made it?
Yeah.
Years ago, I think I made a tutorial and I posted on Instagram and there was this guy from high school that I used to like party with. We were never close. He commented and he's like, dang, you've changed. And I'm like, wow, I feel like I've really, really made it if someone from like high school comes out of the woodwork and is like, you've changed. I was like, I'm feeling accomplished right now. Like, I think you, I think you meant that to like tear me down, but I feel good.
Yeah, right? Like fuck
Yeah.
off.
And
Also,
I hope that you've changed since high school,
yeah, I was about to say, like, I hope I've changed since high school. What does that mean?
right? I don't know, but
You know what? Actually, the origin story of We the Birds, we often leave
mhm.
this out, but because We the Birds, we when we tell the story of our brand, it's because we moved around growing up quite a
Yes.
bit, very transient upbringing. Um, but really, the name we did call ourselves birds like as kids, but at one point in college, these boys called me Bird, and it was not a nice name. Like they were making fun of me and they called me Bird. And I was
Mhm.
telling Natalie when I was home from college, and I was like, they call me Bird. And I think it has something to do with like the way that I pick up my food and maybe something to do with my nose. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And Natalie was like, you know what? We are birds. And I was like, yeah. And then like that's how it stuck. Like we really leaned into it. And sometimes I think to myself, like, I wonder if those fucking losers ever like have seen We the Birds and they're like, I wonder if they ever think about that. So now maybe
I
they
hope
now
so.
they'll know. Now they'll know.
Look at what you did. I love that.
Yeah.
Capitalizing on that shit.
Losers.
Okay. So seeing as how you do have such good fashion sense, and you have lived everywhere like all around the world. I know you lived in Singapore for the longest amount of time, but which place that you lived was the most influential to you as far as like your style?
Mm. I mean, probably Singapore. I know it's like kind of not a fun answer, but probably Singapore because we were, I was a teenager. I did most of my high school there. So, and it's a melting pot of kind of like the whole world,
Hmm.
but mostly Asia. But also, you get a lot of European brands. So we shopped a lot at Zara before that was even in the U.S. at the time. So we actually named our first dog Zara.
Oh.
So RIP. And so I think that living, and it was also like it's a very high fashion place. So I think that's
Hmm.
really like what started my interest. I was always into fashion though. I mean, I can remember being like a little girl thinking that I wanted to work for Vogue. Like that was like my dream job, not knowing what I wanted to do for Vogue, but just I wanted to work for that magazine. So high aspirations, not sure exactly what I was doing,
I think everyone, aspires to do something on those levels if you're into fashion, right? That's always the
but you
ultimate.
like don't know what.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I just want to work for Anna Wintour one day.
Right.
Do you struggle with this as you get older? Because, like, I know that, like, 90s fashion is back, and, like, when I was growing up, I was, like, a little too young to partake in all those fashions, and now I'm, like, a little too old. So I kinda struggle with, like, do I try to, like, look cool and fit in, or am I gonna look like, "Oh, who's that middle-aged chick trying to wear all that shit?" Even
No,
though I'm like,
I
"You didn't
don't know.
I was there when the stuff first came out." And now I'm, like, the old person, like, "Get off my lawn," you know? But I'm trying to
Yeah,
pretend like I'm
no.
not.
I'm like into it. Does that make I don't know. What? Does that mean that I'm like trying to be too young?
No, I just this is just something that I struggle with. So this is where your confidence comes in. This is where my like overthinking steps in. I'm like, am I just I always feel like if I do wear something, I'm like, that meme with like Steve Buscemi where he's like, "Hello, fellow teenagers." He has like a skateboard. That's how I feel.
No, but honestly, like
Do you know what I'm
I'm
talking about?
starting to I'm starting to realize that like maybe that is me. Like I think that I like am younger. No, okay, I also have like the
Oh,
same
yeah.
issue with like the body dysmorphia. Like I think that I am super skinny and then I like
You
will see a
are.
picture. I know, but like I have like body dysmorphia the opposite way where like I will see a picture and I'll be like, weird, like I thought I was like much skinnier than that. And then, you just like have this realization. So anyway, I'm starting to realize like I saw this group of kids walking down the street, this kids walking down the street the other day and I was like, "Oh, those are like the cool kids. Like those are like the Gen Zers." And they weren't even
Yeah.
kids. Like these were probably like 20-year-olds,
Mhm. Yep.
you know?
Yeah, it's a
And
humbling
they
moment.
were wearing like 90s gear, like some
Yeah.
baggy
Yep.
pants, like
Mhm.
an oversized t-shirt, like
Mhm.
with stripes, like kind of like what we anyway. And I was like, oh no. But like I'm
Yeah.
I'm like still okay, I don't know. I'm kind of into the 90s haul right now.
Oh, no, I'm into it. I own stuff, but even, like, putting it on my legs and, like, the sensory feeling, I'm like, "And I'm in middle school again." It's like
Yeah,
like, feeling those feelings, I'm like, "Okay, like, I know that the bottoms of these jeans are gonna be trashed in, like, 2 weeks because 'cause they're gonna drag on the
right.
ground." Like, just
Drag on the
all those
ground.
all those memories come back, and then I turn around, I look at my butt in the mirror, and I'm like, "Well, that looks different." You
It does
know?
look different.
I was like, "Oh, I don't remember my butt taking up half of my body the last time I wore these
Yeah,
pants." It's a humbling
because we were
moment.
like 12 years old at the time, you know?
For sure.
Uh,
Those are the moments when I'm
yeah.
like, "Should I be wearing this?"
No,
But
I
I
think
don't
it's just
care.
like it is a very juvenile look for us as 30-year-olds to be wearing. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I think we like look young enough.
Yeah. I people always think I'm way younger than I am, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
Have you seen like those I'm sure you've seen them before where it's like pictures of what people used to look like in like their 30s, like back
Yeah.
in different time periods and how
They looked
old they look.
they looked way older.
Like, I'm sorry, but that's just not how it is now. Like, I feel like
It's
I'm
true.
still quite young.
Me too. I always feel like like mentally, I feel like I'm in my 20s, like late 20s, and then when
Mhm.
I'm actually
Mhm.
around people in their late 20s, I'm like, "Oh, no." Like
Oh,
I'm
no.
tired. I'm like, "I'm tired." And like
Yeah,
my knees don't work like that anymore.
no.
You
No,
know?
it is yeah. I think they say though, like the 30s, I think maybe there is something to be said about, we know ourselves a little bit better now that
Oh,
we're
for
in our
sure.
30s.
100%.
Um, and maybe our lifespan's longer now too. So like maybe that's why people looked so much older back in the day. Cause like they probably like were prospectively older, their lives were
Hmm.
gonna end sooner or something. Does that make sense? Like if you have like a shorter lifespan,
Yeah.
everything's like pushed forward. I don't know.
Yeah. Like lead paint and like Marbreads and yeah.
Just yeah.
All,
Like now it's like we have
all that
longer
shit.
to live, so like our youth is expanded. It's all expanded.
I don't know if that's right, but I like where your head's at. I'm here for it.
And it makes logical sense.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. When I was listening to your podcast, someone asked you what your goal was with We the Birds, and you said that your
Mm.
goal was to inspire people to dress boldly and embrace that side of themselves. Is that still your goal?
I mean, yes, I think that's always my goal is always like for people to I want people to wear what makes sense to them and like for people to feel inspired to maybe put something on that they wouldn't have always done. So if
Mhm.
I can inspire you to do that, great. I think we've shifted so much in our content. It's like we're not really posting a whole lot about fashion anymore. And that's not to say that we won't shift back. Maybe we will. I Our lives are different right now. So, I've got a baby and Natalie's pregnant. So like we're kind of in a little bit of a quieter stage of our life. And we've always said that We the Birds would evolve with our personal lives because it is a personal brand. So
Mhm.
I think we're kind of in like a bit of a not like limbo, but like we're in like this like holding stage of like what's next for We the Birds. Like we're definitely like we're still doing
Mhm.
our thing, we're still posting, we're still like creating content and sharing kind of like what we're doing in our daily lives. And of course, like we share when we get services and treatments done, and I share what I'm wearing and what I bought and all of that stuff. But what we do next, it will remain to be seen, and we have ideas and kind of it's like a TBD. But I think evolution has always been, and we said this when we closed We the Birds macarons, but evolution has really always been kind of um, a concept that has been a big part of our lives. Obviously, having been so transient in our lives, and evolution is just a part
Mhm.
of the human experience, right? So, I think that will always be a big part of We the Birds. So, what comes next, we'll see. We have some ideas.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
That is really cool that you guys are so good at embracing change just throughout your
Mm,
life. Like, obviously, like you said, moving around, you were forced to be okay with change, so
mm,
that is such a benefit. That's such a benefit to
it
you
is.
guys as far as, exploring different avenues and being a little bit more fearless.
And just to say about our platform, having our We the
Mhm,
Birds brand, being able to kind of now, because we have that established brand, knowing that like we
mhm,
can maybe create a different product in the future or something, maybe establish a different business in the future is so hopeful and exciting. So like we
yeah,
just are kind of like ruminating on that. So like because we have that platform, it gives us a lot of flexibility and
mhm,
and it doesn't have to be like we can also just be influencers like and just share as we are right now. So yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of flexibility in that.
Yeah, you guys have built something really special, and it's cool that you have that freedom to take your time to figure out what serves you best and stay true to your
Hmm.
brand, so that is amazing. I was gonna ask you, so seeing as how, like I said with the podcast, it's like I was listening to your trajectory of, like, opening your business and now seeing as how you closed. What's the most important thing that you learned, owning and operating the shop?
Oh my god, I mean, so many things. We could we could write a book on like, and
Maybe you
that's a
should.
thought. I know that's a thought of talking about what we learned, what not to do in terms of opening a
Mhm,
bakery. And I mean, one of the first thing that comes to my mind if when I think about like kind of those early days is when you do your projections and you come up with a budget, and specifically for somebody who is going to do like a build out of a space from nothing. So like if you're like, okay, we're going to build out a
Mhm.
space from like an actual cold dark shell, there's nothing there, right? So you have to put an AC, um, heating, all of that shit. Okay, nothing. Uh, Take your budget and fucking double it, because
Yeah.
that's probably what's going to happen. Because and that's the
Mhm.
kind of stuff that like we just had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. Because then we gave,
Mhm.
we came up with a budget and we went and got a loan for that, and then it was like, oh no, just kidding, it's going to be two times that, maybe three times that, and then you're like, then
Yeah.
you're working backwards from that point on.
I mean, kudos to you for even trying to do it because it's a huge
Yeah.
undertaking and it takes a lot of balls to put your heart and soul into one thing that you truly believe in. So,
Thank you. Thank you. And it was like such a success in so many ways. Like I think sometimes people look at things like, "Oh, you closed, it's like a failure." And neither one of us feel that
no.
way. Like it was a beautiful chapter, and we finished out that lease. Like that was a 5-year lease. Like that was what it was, and we finished that out. And we just it was truly a success in so many ways. Maybe we didn't make like a shit ton of money, but um, we learned so much. We have like amazing memories that we will cherish forever, and we are so much better for it. So, and it also like gave us so much purpose. Like I think that's something too that like people don't talk about. I think, yes, starting a business, like at the end of the day, like my husband's always like, a business is to make money. Like, let's be fucking real, like at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you're supposed to make money. But there's
Mhm.
also like, there's some fulfillment that comes from that too. And like, that was also like how we were paid in many ways. And so that was a success too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I never was able to try them, but even just looking at the pictures, it all looked like it was a labor of love. And I feel like,
It really was.
yeah, but when someone makes something and if the intention is behind it, if the intention is pure, I feel like it's translated into the quality of the item. So I can even tell via a picture that you guys put your heart and soul into it. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and they
yeah.
are I can speak, I mean, Natalie was the baker, so I, like, always say I can brag because it's not like I'm bragging about my own product, but
Although
I
I feel like
probably
even
would
if you were
I
the baker, you
probably
would.
would.
Yeah. You definitely would, but
I probably would. But she
you
made the
definitely
best
would.
macaron in the world. I lived in France. Like, I didn't even like macarons when I lived in France, and she
Mhm.
really, truly made the best macaron. And that's why it was so bittersweet when we shut down,
Yeah.
because we had a beautiful product. And we had clients that were just so sad, who were just like, what are we going to
Yeah.
do? So you know it's always bittersweet, but sometimes you have to put yourself first too,
Of course.
and not be afraid to walk away. And like I think we both, you know what people didn't realize when we shut down was that Natalie was also pregnant, and she wants a family, and
Mhm.
she needed to be able to do that. And I think when you're running a business, especially that she didn't have me anymore, in their day to day, so
Yeah.
you either get your business to a place where you can step out, and it was not at that place. So yeah, like she was gonna have to step out.
I totally agree with putting yourself first, and honestly, as you were talking, I was thinking it's almost more ballsy to just honor yourself and be like, "Hey, we tried it, but we're gonna bow
Mhm.
out," instead of I think a lot of people would get their ego involved and be like, "No,
Mm.
like, we can't close," like, even though people even though, like, we're fucking broke as shit, like, I don't want people
Mhm.
to know that, like, we're not
Yeah.
whatever happens behind the scenes, so I think that's admirable too.
There is a fair amount. I mean, there were those conversations, of course, but um yeah, I think like again, like the writing's on the wall. Like sometimes, like it's so clear what's right. It's
Mhm.
just it's time.
Yeah.
When it's time, it's time. And yeah, like I do think there's bravery in that, and I think like thank you for saying that. I think there is bravery and just saying it's time, and not being
Yeah.
afraid to say that,
Mhm.
and like fuck
Well,
whoever.
I don't know.
I think there are people who probably do have feelings, and who have their own thoughts and narratives about what happened to us. You know what I mean? But the truth
Sure.
is like they don't know, and we know, and that's really all that matters. People spend so much time thinking about what other people think.
Right. I was gonna say the people that are probably talking the most or speculating the most are people that probably have never been bold enough to make a big move like that themselves. So
Right.
it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't.
And like, yeah, and like to take that a step further, the people who are talking about it the most probably actually are the ones who know the least about it.
For sure.
Right?
Of course. It always is.
Like
Of course.
if you're talking about it, like you probably don't know anything about actually what is actually happening. So you really, and therefore your
Yeah.
opinion does not matter to me.
You heard it here first. Just kidding. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I feel like I've already taken up so much of your time, but we've talked
Oh,
about everything.
I could
Literally
talk to you
everything.
all day.
I know. I'll have to have you come back and have you bring Natalie next time.
Oh, that would be so
Get the
fun. I think
get the
she would
full
love that.
experience. Yes, I would love that too. Well, before we say our goodbyes, where can people find you if they don't already follow you?
Perfect. You can follow us on Instagram at we.the.birds. Yeah, just find us there, and everything is at your fingertips.
Perfect. Well, I am forever grateful for you and your influence in my life. I know that I met you a couple months ago, but like I said, you've been nice enough to post about me, and it's been super helpful for me as far as building my clientele here in Dallas. As you know, it's kind of like nerve wracking. Well, maybe it's not nerve wracking for you, but moving to a new state, moving to a new city where you don't really know anyone. So I can't thank you enough for being so kind to me and, kind of taking me under your wing. I appreciate you more than you know. Just
Oh,
FYI.
it's my honor. You are so lovely. And I always, just a little tidbit, I always say, having moved so many times, it takes like a minimum year,
Yeah.
maybe a year and a half in adult life, to get your bearings
Yeah.
and feel like you have a place somewhere. So, and truly, it's like my pleasure. You are so lovely, and you're also
Oh,
so
thank you.
fucking talented. And it's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure to be able to share your talent with the world. So, thank you for
You're so
having
sweet.
me.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh,
Doing my
oh,
podcast cover. What?
also my brows.
What?
Look at my brows.
Oh yeah. I laminated them last week.
They
I
look
mean, you always had
so
good
good.
brows, but
No, but they have never looked better. Ah,
oh,
so good.
you already know that's going to be a soundbite on my
They have
Instagram.
never looked better.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so happy that you like them. But anyway, I was gonna say you did the podcast. You did my branding for my podcast. So thank you. I knew it
Amazing.
was gonna be excellent. Literally everything. I've worked with other graphic designers, and sometimes it's like so much back and forth to try to communicate what my vision is and the style that I like. And I had full faith in you from the jump. I was like, I know whatever she sends me is gonna be fire. And literally everything you sent me was so good. I was like, I knew she was
Awesome.
the right person for the job. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you were an easy client.
Oh, well, thank you. It's like I have one logo and I'm just like, I'm really gonna drive that one into the ground, the picture of my
Yeah.
head. It's like,
You
that's all I
already
got.
had
That's all
you
I
already
got.
had your branding. Yeah. I'm like, I came up with like all these other
Yeah.
things and it's like you already have it. You know what I mean? So let's go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, I appreciate you on so many levels and I'm really also appreciative of your transparency and your time today. So, thank you.
You're so welcome. Anytime.
Perfect. All right. Well, everyone out there, until next time, stay brilliant.